Yes, indeed. Hello. Good morning, darling. Let me fix my camera here. Is this happening? There we go. Yeah, there we go. Welcome to the Daily Huddle, Spiritual Matters Thursdays. We're talking about how you celebrate the winter solstice. What are your holiday traditions? And how you plan to close out the year. Yeah? All right. So let's talk about it. I think I have said to you before, if you have been in here in any kind of direction, then you know that I talk a lot about how sometimes our society has switched. It is the opposite of what nature does. It's opposite of how we are naturally inclined to do. And so you'll notice that, for example, in the summer, when the sun is at its highest and the earth is at its brightest, that is when people keep going on vacations, school ends, and it seems to kind of like go down. The energy, the activity of human, but the hustle and bustle seems to go down, even though the hustle and bustle of the planet is at its peak, right? And then in the winter time, in the fall, when the sun energy is waning and is going down to its lowest peak, which is the winter solstice, from September to December, which is when it's going down the most, that's when we ramp up our activity. It's back to school, it's the new fiscal year, and then it's Labor Day and Halloween and Thanksgiving and Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve and New Year's Day and Valentine's Day and all this other stuff that happens in the middle of winter that has nothing to do with rest, has nothing to do with hunkering down, has nothing to do with taking a beat. And so, no wonder that we feel burnt out. No wonder that we feel out of sync, misaligned with how nature has designed everything to be. So some of those holiday traditions, I'm going to suggest some of them. You tell me which ones you already do, and then we'll come up together with a way that you can use what you are already doing to align yourself with the energy of nature, the planet, of divine creative intelligence. So some common holidays, we have about 17 holidays in between October and December. Some of them are Scandinavian and Nordic traditions, like St. Lucia's Day or feasting on traditional foods. Some of them are Celtic. Some of them are pagan and Wiccan traditions, like Yuletides, Kwanzaa traditions, Hanukkah traditions, Christmas traditions, etc. Right. So some of the most common ones are decorating the Christmas tree, gift giving, stocking stuffing. Sometimes there's viewing Christmas lights or midnight mass or church services and so forth. With Hanukkah traditions, you have the lighting the menorah and sharing Hanukkah gifts and so forth, right? So how do you use those practices to align yourself with nature, with divine intelligence? All right. The first one is, if you notice, in terms of an agricultural cycle, and the summertime is when we're actually harvesting everything, right? We're picking up the fruits of our labor. And then we put those away for when we need them. which is when we start, putting things in jars and putting preserves and, et cetera, et cetera. And so the cooking that goes on in the wintertime isn't based on what you are planting and harvesting. It's based on what you have saved up and put away for a rainy day. And so wintertime is the time when you can use up the things that you've saved up. Yeah. So baking, frying foods, et cetera, et cetera. It's also a perfect time, and this is one of the things that I do, to go on a fast. Some of you that know me have been here for a while, you know that I do a 40-day fast starting right after the Christmas holiday. So that's one of the things that you can do. Caroling, groups singing Christmas carols, going door to door, community events, etc. That singing is just related to lighting the Christmas tree or lighting the menorah, is a gesture of faith. Because in the springtime, when the flowers are blooming and the birds are singing, etc., etc., there are no such things happening in nature in the wintertime. So when you go caroling, when you go singing, when you go lighting the menorah, etc., in the middle of the darkest phase of life, it is a gesture of faith. It is a gesture of, how the Bible says it's darkest before dawn. You may suffer for a night, but joy comes in the morning. And so caroling and sharing songs, sharing food, et cetera, is a way of saying this darkness and this dearth that we are experiencing in the wintertime is not the end. It is a time for us to pause, a time for us to hunker down, a time for us to enjoy each other, and then to kind of settle in and go within so that you can prepare for the year coming forth, or the year that has already started, because the year really starts in September with the fall equinox. But that's another sermon for another time. So some of the other one of the traditions that I like, for example, in Kwanzaa, is the storytelling and poetry. Again, along the lines of caroling and along the lines of like playing the dreidel, for example, which is a traditional game in Hanukkah traditions. Storytelling is a way of reflecting on heritage and of values and of keeping the ancients and keeping the ancestors alive. That also is related to the Celtic tradition of stone circle gatherings, because those stone circle gatherings are also a way of telling stories and of bonfires. And it's symbolizing the light triumphing over darkness, but also just like the decorating the Christmas tree and so forth. But also the storytelling piece of it, again, is connecting with the stories that have come before us. So you tell me, I want to know, what are some of your holiday and winter solstice traditions? And what are you looking forward to? For example, we're not meeting on next week because it's Thanksgiving. We'll be back in December. However, what are some of the traditions that you have that celebrate the winter solstice, that celebrate this end of the oncoming of Christmas, New Year's, Thanksgiving, et cetera, et cetera? Let's talk about it.
May I share? Good morning.
Good morning.
Grand rising, everyone. Thank you so much for this conversation. Oh, I grew up in Jamaica. And during this time, it was like hard work cleaning everything, cleaning the yards, cleaning the cabinets, the wares. So it was just, a lot of hard work. But, as I grow older, I find myself still doing the same thing and I wonder what's going on. And I realize that it's nature. All of it is coming from nature, where I'm preparing myself for this period of darkness where we're going to hibernation, get our bodies renewed for the coming year or season. And I take the idea of hard work and trauma out of it and instead see it as preparation for the light to come forth. I'm
Oh, I
complete.
love
Thank
that. That's a beautiful reframe because I forgot about the cleaning. I forgot about all that decluttering and so forth. Yes, absolutely. And there's old wisdom that says whatever cleaning you do it before the new year so that you enter the new year with this new look, with this new refreshed household, et cetera, et cetera. Don't do it after the new year because then, well, again, another sermon for another Sunday. But the conversation is around it's a preparation, it's a releasing ceremony of sorts. The cleaning and decluttering of your physical space is just as much meaningful as when we release internally, right? Limiting beliefs and things that no longer serve us. Thank you for that. Cece, you're up.
Good morning, everyone. So glad to hear the wonderful topics. This year, I do traditions. I'm a baker, so I bake pound cakes, and then I get orders for cookies, sweet potato pies, all those yummy things that people want to eat around this time because the New Year's resolution, they won't be eating all that. So I take this time to share my baking with people. I give some, sell some, and I eat some. And so this year, I plan on doing a continuous decluttering before the year ends. And I'm going to have all these yard sales, 4 of them between now and the end of the year. And I'm going to get rid of everything that I had been stockpiling to sell in a store. And instead of putting it up for consignment, I'm going to just do 4 free yard sales in Conyers, Georgia. And I'm going to set it up where I'll just do a portion at a time. Each weekend, I'll sell this portion. If that doesn't sell, I'm going to give it to charity, Goodwill. Somebody else can use it or make something out of it. I'm very industrious, so I make things. And in preparing my house, I'll be preparing myself for the new year. So I'm not going to wait till next year to lose some weight. I can still lose weight even with the holidays. It's only one day for the holiday.
Yes.
So there'll be some weight loss before the beginning of the year. So I won't have to be losing no weight after the new year. I'll just be already prepared for my spring, and I'm going to just be resting. So I'm addressing all these unaddressed things that I put off all year and a long time. And I'm going to be sharing my history, how I got here, how I got to this place. Plus, I've been doing our family tree. So I've been seeing the resemblance of my ancestors in myself. And so I'm going to treasure the good things that were carried up. I'm going to get rid of all the negative things. And yes, I do fast. I fast once a week. So I do maybe 52 days out of the year. Yes. And I've done the 40 straight. And they each open me up to new things. So I might just do the 40 in the beginning and ask God to help me sustain for those 40 days. And thank you for the conversation. This is really, enriching. So thank you. I pass.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Cece. Appreciate you. I love it. I'm going to lower your hand here. So who else? Who else has something to share about how you do winter traditions, winter solstice, end of year, holiday, etc.? What are you looking forward to? What are you going to take on? Share with us. Maybe you have an idea that somebody else is like, oh, you know what? I'm going to start doing that this year. Who else has something? Laura says, I do the same, Cece. I bake Jamaican rum cakes for sale and for gifts. Oh, don't threaten me with a good time. I think both of you are based in Atlanta, so, we could hook up and, okay, I love it. Anybody else? Comments, questions. What else do you got? How do you celebrate your holidays in your household, in your family, with your people? Oh, thank you, Cece. I'm gonna write that down. Kwanzaa, yes. So Kwanzaa isn't necessarily, what do I want to say about Kwanzaa? How did Kwanzaa get started? So part of the amazingness, the magic, the resilience of traditions and of honoring our ancestors is that we get to connect. It's so interesting because what you think is a new thing is usually not. It's usually cellular memory that harkens back to something in that the ancients used to do. So Kwanzaa was created in the 60s by Dr. Malana Karenga, and he was a professor, an activist, and scholar of Pan-African studies as a way of honoring African heritage and culture. And that holiday emerged during the height of the Black freedom movement in the United States, which was a time of growing pride in the African identity and resistance to systemic racism. So Dr. Karenga wanted to design a holiday that celebrated African American culture, emphasized community, and offered a counter to the commercialism of Christmas, right? He combined elements of traditional African harvest festivals, like the first fruit celebrations from Southern Africa, with principles that were meant to uplift and unify the Black community. And so Kwanzaa is rooted in Zungo Saba, which is the 7 principles that are values that Dr. Karenga identified as essential for building strong communities. And they're celebrated over 7 days, from December 26th, which is the day after Christmas, to January 1st, which is New Year's Day. So you have Umoja, which means unity, striving for unity in the family and community and nation and the race, right? Kujijagalia, which is self-determination. I just love saying that word, Kujijagalia. So self-determination is really about defining and naming and creating and speaking and self-advocating, for oneself. Ujima is collective work and responsibility. So you build and maintain the community together. It's not just about work for the hustle's sake, for individual achievement. It's a devotion to the community. It is a responsibility to the collective. Ujama is cooperative economics. So you have Ujima, which is work, Ujama, which is economics, both of them collective cooperative. So building businesses and supporting businesses within the community, go to your local businesses instead of the big chains so that you can support the local economy. Nia, which is purpose, committing to collective goals that benefit the community, that benefit the family. Kuumba is creativity, using imagination to leave the world better than you found it. And Imani, the last one is Imani, which is faith. Believing in yourself, believing in the community, believing in a higher purpose, and how that all connects together. So just like the menorah in Hanukkah, Kwanzaa has the lighting of the kinara, which is 7 candles representing those principles. And sometimes families decorate their homes with African-inspired art, wear traditional clothing, they host feasts called karamu, which filled with storytelling and music and dance, very much like every other holiday tradition. So even though it began as a cultural response to empower African Americans, Kwanzaa is really celebrated globally now by people of African descent who want to honor their roots and share in its positive community-focused message. Part of the reason why it's so important is because we have to realize that for many people across the globe, across generations, across civilizations, a lot of our history has been lost. And so that communication or that Kwanzaa even started as a self-determination gesture, right? There's like, you don't tell me that I've lost my history. I'm going to connect to it the best way that I know how. So that's the little Cliff Note version of Kwanzaa. So thank you for bringing it up, Laura. Anybody else? Comments, questions? How you celebrate your holiday and your winter solstice tradition? Okay. Well, listen, I don't mean to hold you. I love sharing space with you. Thank you so much for being with us throughout the entirety of the year. We will be back in December for our next Spiritual Matters Thursdays. The next Thursday will be Thanksgiving. We will not be here. Enjoy your family. And in the meantime, give of yourself, of your time, your energy, your attention, love generously, laugh loudly, sleep, at least get yourself 7 hours of sleep, eat more plant-based foods, stress less, move your body. Remember that twerking is a spiritual exercise to raise your kundalini. And of course, audit your assumptions. Check yourself before you wreck yourself. We love you. See you next time.
Thank you. Thank you very much.